Welcome back to the deep dive. I always look forward to these deep dives with you. Today we're going to be tackling this concept of achieving excellence. And I was really intrigued by the source material you sent over. It's Paul Robinson's Exceptional or Nothing.
It's a great book. Robinson is, well, I mean, he's a really prominent figure in the business world.
Yeah. He's got so much practical wisdom, and he's so good at just breaking down these complex ideas. We're going to focus on this principle, be better to beat the best. And I got to say, when I first saw the title, I was just like, whoa, what if what we think about success is totally wrong?
Yep.
What if trying to be the best is actually holding us back?
Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it? And that's what Robinson wants us to do. He wants us to question those assumptions. What's really interesting is he suggests that trying to be better is actually a more powerful approach than aiming for best.
I know. When I read that, I was like, whoa, hold on. We're always told that best is like the goal, like the be all and end all. But he's saying it might actually be like a trap.
Yeah, it kind of is, right? Because best can feel like an endpoint. Like you reach the top of the mountain, and then what? Yeah. And I think that can lead to complacency and fear of failure. But better is an ongoing thing. It's all about continuous improvement.
It's like instead of running a race, you're on this never-ending journey. It's so much more, I don't know, exciting.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so powerful. It changes our perspective, right? Like it's not about reaching a destination, but about constantly growing and evolving.
Right. So instead of being like, I need to be number one, it's more about how can I be better than I was yesterday?
Exactly. It's more sustainable in the long run too. It's not about this specific outcome. It's about, like you said, the journey.
Totally. It's like they say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And something that really stood out to me was Robinson's emphasis on how even little improvements can add up to huge results over time. This whole micro-excellence thing.
Oh, yeah. Micro-excellence. That is such a great concept. It's all about consistency and the power of those little things, accumulating over time.
Yeah. It's like investing. You put in a little bit regularly, and over time, it grows exponentially.
That is a perfect analogy. Just like compound interest. Consistent effort, even if it's small, can lead to those incredible results. It's not about making drastic changes overnight. It's about focusing on those small adjustments, the daily habits, the incremental improvements.
So it's like instead of trying to climb Mount Everest all at once, it's about taking those small, steady steps, right?
Exactly. And I think that's where the be better mindset really comes in. You're not afraid to experiment and to fail, to learn and grow along the way.
And all those small wins, those incremental improvements, they keep you going, right?
They do. It creates this like a positive feedback loop. Each victory gives you that boost of confidence to keep going.
So how do we actually put this into practice? What are some examples of these tiny habits that can lead to this micro excellence?
Well, it could be anything. It really depends on what you want to achieve, your goals.
Like say you want to write a book.
Exactly. Instead of trying to write the whole thing at once, what if you commit to just 1 page a day? That's 365 pages in a year. It sounds small, but it can really add up.
Wow, that's a great point. 1 page a day seems doable. But a whole book in a year, that's amazing.
Right. And it doesn't just apply to writing. It could be anything, learning a language, playing an instrument, starting a business, anything really.
It's all about breaking down those big goals into smaller, more manageable steps that you can do consistently, right?
Absolutely. And Robinson actually talks about this in the book. He gives this example of an athlete, I think it was a swimmer, who was already incredibly successful. Like they'd won a bunch of championships.
So they were already at the top of their game.
Yeah.
But they were still focused on getting better.
Exactly. They were obsessed with improving their technique, like shaving off just a few milliseconds from their time. They were always looking for ways to improve. And they said that this be better mindset was a huge part of their continued success. They weren't content with just, resting on their laurels. They always wanted to evolve.
I love that. It shows that no matter how much you achieve, there's always room to grow and improve. It's all about that journey of learning and becoming better.
Exactly. And that's something I've definitely seen in my own life as well.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
Well, for me, it was about letting go of this need to be perfect. I used to get so caught up in trying to be the best at everything, it was actually paralyzing. Like I was so afraid to take risks or try new things because I was so scared of failing.
I think we've all been there, right? That fear of failure can really hold you back.
It really can. But when I shifted my focus to just being better, it was like this huge weight had been lifted. I felt free to experiment, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. And it also allowed me to celebrate those little victories along the way.
Oh, that's so important. Robinson talks a lot about celebrating those small wins, right?
He does. And it's so important for staying motivated. He actually makes this really great analogy to video games. Like, imagine you're playing a game and you finally beat this really tough level.
Oh, yeah, you get that little hit of dopamine, right? Like you're leveling up in real life.
Exactly. And Robinson says we should approach our goals the same way. Like, every small win, every little milestone is worth celebrating.
That reminds me of this time I was working on this massive project, and I just felt so overwhelmed. But then I remembered what Robinson said about micro-excellence and breaking down those big goals, and I started setting these small daily goals for myself. And every time I hit one, I'd celebrate, even if it was just like a little fist pump or a treat at the end of the day.
And I bet that made a big difference in terms of like your motivation and your ability to just stay focused.
It totally did. The whole project felt a lot less daunting. It kept me going.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much those little celebrations can impact you.
I know. It's really about acknowledging your progress and giving yourself credit for the effort you're putting in. And yeah, those little dopamine hits, they're so powerful.
They really keep you fueled up for the journey, right?
They really do. Speaking of fuel, Robinson has this amazing story in the book that I think illustrates this idea of micro-excellence so perfectly. It's about this pharmaceutical sales team that was told they needed to increase their sales by 20%.
Okay, 20%. That's a pretty ambitious goal. How would they manage that?
Well, instead of trying to like completely reinvent the wheel, they came up with this super simple but effective approach. They called it just add 2.
Just add 2.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so straightforward. What did it involve?
Okay, so basically, every salesperson committed to making 2 extra sales calls a day. And from those calls, they had to get 2 more prescriptions.
Really? Just 2 calls and 2 prescriptions? That seems almost too simple to be effective.
Right. But that's the whole beauty of this micro-excellence thing. It's the small, consistent efforts that make a huge difference over time. And in their case, those 2 extra calls, those 2 extra prescriptions a day, they ended up increasing the whole team's sales by 20%.
That's wild.
It
really shows you the power of just staying consistent and focusing on those seemingly small actions that when you repeat them over and over, they add up to something massive.
Exactly. And this story really highlights something else that Robinson talks about, which is how we tend to overestimate the importance of these big dramatic changes, and we underestimate the power of just doing those small, consistent things.
Yeah, we're always looking for that magic bullet, but sometimes it's those small everyday actions that really move the needle, right?
It's like trying to lose weight by going on some crazy crash diet versus, making gradual changes to your lifestyle. The crash diet might work for a little bit, but it's not sustainable. Whereas those small changes, like eating a little healthier every day, moving your body a little more, those are the things that will actually make a difference in the long run.
Yeah, it's like building a house, one brick at a time. Each brick might seem small, but when you put them all together, you get this amazing, strong structure.
That's a great analogy. Building excellence in any part of your life is really just like that. It's about that steady effort, those consistent actions that build something incredible over time.
So if we really want to be exceptional, if we want to reach our goals and live a life that we're truly passionate about, we have to embrace this be better mindset.
I think so. It's about shifting our focus away from being the best and towards constantly improving, embracing those small steps, and celebrating those wins along the way.
And just remembering that even the smallest actions, when you do them consistently, can lead to those amazing results.
Exactly. And that's something I think everyone can benefit from, no matter what they're trying to achieve in life.
As we wrap up this deep dive into exceptional or nothing, I'm really struck by how this whole be better idea has made me think differently about my own approach to achieving things. I tend to be really goal-oriented, like always chasing that next big accomplishment. But I think sometimes I get so caught up in reaching the destination that I forget to actually enjoy the journey.
I think we've all been there. It's easy to get so focused on the end goal that we miss out on all the little moments, the little wins that happen along the way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Robinson's Be Better philosophy is such a great reminder to to slow down and appreciate the process, to celebrate those small victories along the way.
It's about finding that joy in the journey itself, not just in the destination.
It's like the difference between climbing a mountain just to plant a flag at the top versus climbing it to experience the beauty of the climb.
That's a perfect analogy. It really captures the essence of what Robinson is talking about.
So as we wrap up, let's just make sure we got the key takeaways from Be Better to Beat the Best. So first, it's all about adopting that mindset of continuous growth, like always striving to be better than you were yesterday.
And second, it's about embracing the power of those micro excellences, focusing on those small, consistent actions that, like we talked about, compound over time.
And lastly, it's so important to celebrate those small wins, to acknowledge your progress and give yourself credit for all the effort you're putting in.
Perfectly summarized. And remember, this applies to every area of your life, your relationships, your work, your health, your creativity, everything.
It's about showing up every day and trying to be just a little bit better than you were the day before. And trusting that those small, consistent efforts, they really will lead to those amazing results. So as a final thought for everyone listening, what's one small positive change you can make today to be better in your own life?
It really could be anything. It could be spending 15 minutes reading or practicing a new skill, or even just trying to be more present and mindful in your interactions with others.
Whatever it is, remember that even the smallest actions can make a big difference over time. So go out there and be better.
And until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep striving to be the best version of yourself.
We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.